has sought treatment for depression and job stress. He comes to the psychiatric treatment unit smelling of alcohol. Taylor denies a drinking problem and considers the problem to be his job.
Hi Taylor, I'm Amanda and I'm going to be your nurse today. Can you tell me a bit about what's bringing you in?
Yeah, my wife keeps nagging me to come in. She thinks I have depression or something.
Okay, well on the chart I see you're here for treatment of depression and stress at work. Could you tell me a bit about your job?
Yeah, I don't know. My job is really stressful sometimes, and I work really long hours and don't really get to see my family as much as I'd like to.
The patient is currently in the pre-contemplation stage. He does not yet realize the importance of making a change. During motivational interviewing, the nurse keeps an open body language and leans into the conversation. Now, the nurse is raising the subject.
I understand that your job takes a lot of time. Can you maybe give me some examples of how you cope with all the stress?
I mean, I don't know, I maybe have a couple beers at night when I get home. And I get home after my kids are already in bed, which sucks. So I usually just have 2 or 3 beers before I go to sleep.
Alright, I really understand how this can have a negative impact on your day. So you have a few beers after you get home, once your kids are in bed. Do you ever cope in any other ways, such as tobacco or drug use?
No, I don't do anything like that. I really don't want that stuff around my kids.
Alright, thank you for sharing that with me. I know that this is a heavy subject, but could we maybe talk a bit more about your drinking?
What? Is that like a problem? Do you think I'm an alcoholic?
No, but I think that this could maybe be having a negative effect on your depression and stress at work.
Sure, whatever.
Okay, so you have a few beers when you get home. What about while you're at work?
I don't know, I'll go have a few drinks with some coworkers at lunch or during a meeting, but not really every day. And I might sometimes bring a flask with me to work.
So would you say that you have maybe 5 or more beers a day some days?
Yeah, I guess that's probably right.
Notice how the nurse rolls with resistance and expresses empathy. Next, the nurse assesses the risk levels.
The reason that I bring this up today is because your drinking use is above safe limits and I'm concerned that this could be affecting your health.
Okay.
For men under the age of 65, having 5 or more drinks a day is considered moderately risky drinking behavior.
Oh, I never really thought about that.
For a man at your age, this could lead to hypertension, which is high blood pressure, as well as other chronic diseases such as kidney and liver disease. Do you have any thoughts about that?
Well, I guess that makes sense. I didn't think it could really have lasting effects like that. And I really want to be healthy for my family.
Yes, alcohol can have lasting problems. That's really great that you want to be healthy for your family. Talking about your mental health today, do you think that there could be any correlation between your drinking and job stress, depression?
Yeah, I guess that's probably where it came from.
Notice that the nurse asks the patient open-ended questions and uses reflective statements to affirm the patient's answers. The nurse will now offer advice.
Alright, well, we've talked about the health risks. Can I offer you some advice?
Yeah, I guess so.
Well, I would really like to see you consider cutting back on your drinking.
Notice the nurse first asks the patient if she can offer advice. She offers professional advice without giving her own opinion. After offering advice, the nurse will enhance motivation.
Well, I don't really know about cutting back on my drinking. It's really how I unwind sometimes, and it keeps me from getting too stressed out. And if I try to cut back, I really just think it'll get me more stressed out, and it'll just make it all worse.
Perhaps before we talk about cutting back on your alcohol use, we could talk about some positive ways to manage stress and help keep you motivated while you're going through such a big change in your life.
Okay, like what? You don't want me to do yoga or anything, right?
Well, exercise really is a good way to deal with stress. Maybe instead of having a few beers each night when you come home from work, you could hop on the treadmill for 30 minutes. This would also really be a positive step towards combating some of those lasting problems that we talked about before.
Okay, I guess that would be a better choice. And I mean, working out would be a better example for my kids than drinking.
Now that you have such a more positive outlook for managing your stress, would you maybe consider my advice about cutting down on your alcohol use?
Okay, I guess I could give it a try.
Alright, so tell me what you like about drinking.
Well, it relaxes me. It helps me get through a long day of work, and it's a nice pick-me-up in the middle of the day.
Okay, so it helps you relax, and you also like to use it as a pick-me-up throughout the day. What's not so good about your drinking?
Well, it costs a lot of money, and sometimes I feel hazy the next morning. It can interfere with my time with my kids and my wife, and I guess it really doesn't set the best example for them either. Plus, my wife doesn't like it very much, and like you said, it's really starting to affect my health. So, I think it just makes my depression worse sometimes.
So you think it's expensive, you don't like the way it makes you feel, you recognize it's having a negative effect on your health, and you also say that it interferes with your family time and you want to be a good role model for your children, but you feel that your drinking does not set the best example. It's really great to see that you realize the negative impacts that your drinking could have. What are some things that you wouldn't like about making this change?
Well, I like hanging out with my friends and drinking. I don't really want to stop doing that.
Okay, what are some things that would be good about making this change?
Well, I think it would probably save me a lot of money. It could improve my health and make my wife happy, and it would set a better example for my kids if I didn't drink.
You heard of a readiness ruler? It measures from 0 to 10 how much you want to make a change in your life. 0 meaning not ready to make a change at all, and 10 meaning absolutely ready to make a change. I don't know if you have any idea of how ready you are to make a change, but where do you think you could place yourself on this ruler today?
I guess a 4.
Okay. You rated yourself a 4. Why not a 1 or a 2?
Well, I don't know. I do want to change for my kids, but work is really stressful, and I feel like my drinking makes my depression easier to deal with sometimes.
Alright. I understand that while you want to change for your family, it can be difficult to make a change. What makes you higher than a 4?
I'm not really comfortable with all of this yet. This is all really new to me, so.
What about all this makes you uncomfortable?
Well, my social life is really important to me, and I have a lot of business meetings that we sometimes have a few drinks, and I don't really want to stick out.
Notice the nurse develops discrepancy in order to promote change in the patient. The patient is now in the contemplation stage. Next, the nurse will negotiate a plan.
Alright, what are some steps that you could take to cut down?
Well, I don't really know where to start, but I could maybe keep track of the drinks that I have during the week.
Okay, so keeping track of your drinks, I think that would be a great place to start. Do you have any other ideas that could help you? Maybe a family or friends that you could go through this with?
You know what? Now that I think about it, I have one of my coworkers doesn't drink, so I could maybe start going to lunch with him instead of the people who do drink.
Yeah, removing yourself from peer pressure would be a great decision to cut back on your drinking. You've really accomplished a lot to get where you are today, and I think that you can handle this challenge.
Yeah, I think so too.
Notice the patient is now in the preparation stage. The nurse is supporting self-efficacy to assist him with making a plan for the steps he will take in the action stage after he leaves today. He is ready for assistance with the change.
Alright, so from your visit today, we can agree that your drinking is moderately risky behavior, but you're a 4 on the readiness ruler for change. You've said that you like your drinking because you think it helps you relax and deal with your depression, but if you were to cut back, you would save money and strengthen your family bonds. Your goals for change are to keep track of how much you drink a week and to start having lunch with coworkers who also don't drink.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Okay. Do you mind if we write down these goals so we can keep track of them for the future and maybe set up a follow-up to assess your progress?
Yeah,
okay.
Sure. No, thanks for what you've done today. I really didn't even know I had a problem.
Well, I'm glad that you came in.
This is an example of how motivational interviewing can be used to positively encourage change in a patient. Taylor will next move on to the action stage, where he will take steps to control his drinking habit, and eventually onto the maintenance stage, where he will work to prevent relapse and confidently continue his change.